Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Schachter, and here is the lecture on Chapter 2. I'm going to share my screen here so you can follow along with the PowerPoint. So this is the PowerPoint that is also available for you in the shell. Forgive me. So the first thing we're going to look into now is the marketing and promotions process model. And we're going to do a deep dive into this chart. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be coughing a little bit. So what we have here, thank you. So what we have here is a number of columns. And one of the first columns that we see on the left is my left, is opportunity analysis. So this is the marketing strategy and analysis point. So when we look at opportunity analysis, what we're actually saying with this is, where is a place that is not served by our brand, some also not served by our competitors, but it could be served by your competitors, where we could take market share and enter that market. So for example, let's say Arizona, I'm making this up. Let's say that Arizona doesn't have any Burger Kings or Chick-fil-A's or any fast food restaurant brand that you are comfortable with. So let's say that you are working as a chief marketing officer for that brand, and you say, well, um, why don't we have outposts? Why don't we have stores? Why don't we have restaurants in that market? A good example of this is Kraft. Kraft has kids' meals, and they identified, and I'll put the article up in the show, they identified school lunches as a $25 billion market that they're not serving yet. So opportunity analysis requires insights. It requires an understanding of what your brand is. It requires you to really do a deep dive into competitors, do a deep dive into your target audience, and see if they are in that market that's not being served. Or Dove, look at Dove. Dove soaps, shampoos, and everything else for a long time were just for women. And then they introduced a male line because that was a market they identified that they could serve. So the next level down is the competitive analysis. So one of the things that we talk about when we talk about competitive analysis is two things. Number one, who are the competitors in the market? Because competitors don't like to lose money, right? So they may not be happy if our brand moves into their market, but are they strong enough? Are they entrenched enough? Do they have enough customer loyalty to prevent us from taking market share away from them? And that's where the analysis comes in. And that's where we talk about pricing decisions. We talk about market segmentation, meaning which people in a market. And it's not enough to just say Gen Z, because I have bad news for you. Not all Gen Zs are the same. Gen Z just means people born during a certain time period. And they're Gen Z cohort that have interest in eating meat, and there's some that have an interest in being vegan. There's some that are more environmentally conscious, and there's some that aren't. And it's very easy for people to become very narrow-minded and say, hey, all Gen Zs are alike, all baby boomers are alike. So we need to take into consideration that market segment. And that's when we get into target marketing. Target marketing and market segment is very simple. A market segment is a broader part. So let's say males 18 to 25. And a target market is which people in the 18 to the 25 market segment is the one that we should go after. So let's just say 18 to 25-year-old males who love hip hop. You know, hip hop has just had a 50th year anniversary. So the last thing I want to talk to you about this is positioning. And this is something that a lot of students at FIT or anyone else that's just starting out in marketing have a lot of difficulty with. Because positioning means, very simply put, what do you want someone to think about? What image do you want them to get when they, in their head, when they think about your brand? What is that image you want them to have? Is it quality? Is it affordability? Is it environmental awareness? Is it inclusivity? But then here's the other part that gets even more narrow, because a lot of brands may be known for inclusivity. A lot of brands may be known for environmental consciousness. So why is Patagonia number one when you think about it in certain segments? And what does that mean for North Face? Was not associated with that, yet they are still a formidable brand. And that's my point. There are people who are buying North Face for what North Face stands for, and there are people who are buying Patagonia for what Patagonia stands for. And we must differentiate this. And when people are saying Patagonia, they get a certain idea in their head, a certain image, a certain vision. And when and they want to be associated with that vision, that's why they're buying Patagonia. And when somebody is thinking North Face and they're buying North Face, they're not necessarily rejecting Patagonia, but they're saying that North Face may be better suited for what they perceive their needs are, or maybe even who they want to associate with when they put it on. What brand speaks about who they are? So as we progress through this channel, we'll see that future slides go into a lot more detail about what I just mentioned. So when we get into opportunity analysis, we're talking about favorable demand trends. What does that mean? That means that there are a lot of people who are seeking that product, and that number is increasing, not decreasing. How can you compete effectively in those markets? Okay, so I'm not going to go through the examples and stuff, but these are what's known as the competitive advantage probabilities. Sometimes great customer service. We make decisions because we want to be supported after, so we buy a brand. Now, one of the big differentiators for Apple, believe it or not, is the Apple stores, because they're the only brand that people can walk into a store, and one of those geniuses, and whether they're a genius or not is subject to interpretation, but one of those geniuses are there to help you or exchange your product or fix your product. Can't do that with a Samsung. Can't do that with any other phone. So that's a major point of differentiation. Most people believe that aside from the brand image and Steve Jobs, the main reason why Apple is as dominant as it is as a brand is because of the Apple Store. So let's look at the target marketing process. This is going to be on a quiz and on the final exam. And what you need to know is the order of it. So first, you identify markets with unfulfilled needs. What does that mean? Well, probably every market has a pizzeria. But what is the difference between, where I live right now, there's a great place called Joe's Pizza. But what's the difference between Papa John's and Pizza Hut and Domino's and a local pizza store? And how do we segment this market? Is it going to, everyone says, well, price. And don't get me wrong, price is really, really important. But if you're only going to differentiate on price, then you are really racing to the bottom. Because if you're going to go for a low price, you can only go as low before you start losing money. You need more than just price. It could be ingredients. Papa John's talks about the ingredients. Domino's used to talk about delivery. And you select that market so that people say, no, I'm only going to go to a local pizzeria. I know the owner. I like the place. It's authentic, right? Whatever authentic means. And I want mass-produced pizza. Well, then that's not our market. Our market is people who don't mind the Pizza Hut or who are loyal to Pizza Hut or Papa John's or whatever. And then you create marketing strategies that tell this story, and that's how you become associated with a singular idea of what you stand for. What is that one thing that you want people to know once they encounter your brand. That's your position. So the other thing I want to talk to you about is how we segment. So I want to talk to you about the 80-20 rule. And no matter what you do in life, you're always going to get 80% of your results from 20% of your actions. So for example, how you allocate your time, right? You're going to do 80% of your grades are going to come from 20% of the things you do. 80% of sales come from 20% of the customers. So the 80-20 rule is kind of been proven over and over and over again for tens and tens of years. And so we need to identify who that 20% is and see if we can expand it or see how we can target them better. So we increase the volume. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about is benefit segmentation. It doesn't matter what you have as a brand. You may have the purest cheese, all right, for your mozzarella cheese, for your pizza, okay? But how does that benefit me as a consumer? You tell me it's the greatest mozzarella in the world isn't going to tell me that I should buy it. So benefits are, why will it benefit my life? Airbags, great. They can save my life. So we're selling the fact that it'll save lives, not the fact that it has airbags. And you need to start thinking of everything from a benefit point of view. Why should a company hire you? What is in it for them? It's not about you needing a job. It's about them needing your services and how you benefit them. Actually, you don't need to know this. The Claritas, I'm not going to test you on it. And another thing that we need to talk about is these three target marketing processes that you will be tested on. So one of them is undifferentiated marketing, which is very rare. So for example, let's take regular Coke. Okay, there's no other Coke except regular Coke. It's sold in a 12-ounce bottle, and that's it. So all the ads are in English. There's no ads for any ethnic groups. There's no ads for any religious groups. There's no ads for anything else. Okay, no genders, no nothing. Just one ad for everybody. One product for everybody. That's called undifferentiated. It's also known as mass marketing. Now, what Coke does have is differentiated marketing, right? They have many different products. They have Coke Zero, they have Diet Coke, Coke Cherry Coke, Diet, regular, whatever. And each one of those products has different marketing campaigns. It has a marketing campaign in Spanish. It has a marketing campaign in Chinese. It has marketing campaigns in Japanese. It has marketing campaigns based on the language of consumers, has on the genders of consumers. In other words, it tailors their campaign to reflect ethnicity, to reflect culture, and to become part of that community. So that is differentiated. Many different brands with different marketing executions for each market segment. And then concentrated marketing is a little bit different than both of them. Concentrated marketing says, we have a brand. So let's say Birka bags, right? Forgive me if I said it incorrectly. And it's a $9,000, $10,000 handbag by Hermes. Well, how many people are really in the market to buy that bag? So concentrating marketing is that you have one market segment as opposed to many market segments, which is undifferentiated. So you have one market segment. In that market segment, you concentrate your marketing efforts to with one campaign. That's it. It's very, very niche and very, very focused. Undifferentiated is very broad. Concentrated is very focused. We discussed positioning. You can position by price and quality. Notice it's not price alone, it's price quality. What does that mean? That means you get a very high quality for a very fair price, not low, but fair. And that is the value proposition. You can position by how a product is used. You can position by how product user. So basically, so Drano is used by plumbers, right? So professional strength Drano, and then you say by product users, and that's also product class because it's by professionals. Now, the last thing I want to discuss to you is repositioning. Marketing brands reposition themselves all the time. And the reason they reposition themselves is because new consumers enter the market. You know, for example, when someday you may be a parent and you may have different criteria for what baby food you buy if you have a baby than, let's say, my parents did, or I do, or I had, because it's been a while since I had to buy baby food. So, okay, so maybe you look for more organic or you look for sustainable. And my parents just look for things that'll feed me because they didn't have the knowledge. So let's say there's a brand like Gerber's, and Gerber's is an old school brand, but maybe now they're saying, hey, we don't have any chemicals. We have no additives. We're using glass jars, so there's no plastic. Things that they never said before. And they didn't say it because maybe the target audience back then didn't care about that. So when you reposition, is you're retelling a different story to a new audience or even an existing audience to tell that your brand has become something else, more organic, more conscious, more diverse, more inclusive, whichever. So that's what repositioning is. Repositioning is taking the original position that the product had in the market and then restating it in a different way to connect with consumers who became disconnected from the brand under its current positioning. Well, I hope that this brought some clarity to the subject matter, and you have the rest of the PowerPoint presentation. I've also taken the liberty of adding some more YouTube videos, and I really hope that you've got a deeper level of understanding of what marketing, target marketing, and positioning is. There will be a quiz on this chapter and on chapter 1.